Hey everyone, it's the Sith Justice Warriors podcast coming to you today on a lovely snowy Sunday evening with your co-host Princess Olympia.
Yo, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Um, I think with the Northeast under a
Storm watch.
a little bit, what are we at? Like six.
Yeah, I feel like we are. It's definitely a snowy day, so hopefully everyone in the Northeast or in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area is safe. Sirius is enjoying the Royal Rumble, so he will not be joining us today, but he's in the background somewhere. You probably can hear him. So, for all you wrestling fans out there, hopefully he'll come with a recap at some point. I'm hoping that CM Punk shows up tonight. I really do. I really, really hope. But
How
anyway.
many, how many Royal Rumbles can we have?
There's always a Royal Rumble once a year, but there are like 30 people that enter the Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
And it could be anyone like that basically states their intention. So it could be like CM Punk could be coming back. I don't know. There were rumors. It would be nice if he and AJ Lee came back because they were awesome. But
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, what the grand plan is, because as you know, with this kind of stuff, it's all kind of scripted. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks. But yeah, hopefully everyone's safe and enjoying the snowy day.
Yep. Speaking of snowy days, it's the perfect time to cuddle up with a good Netflix slash Disney Plus and all that other fun stuff series. And so I think the big topic for us we'd like to talk about is a bit of review and discussion on WandaVision episode 4. So, Lumpia, you take it away.
And this will be spoiler territory, but hopefully you caught up, fan. I think you did.
I did.
So we can definitely chat about it and spend some time on it. I do want to make a point that with the Super Bowl weekend coming up next week, I have a feeling we will see a lot more in terms of commercials around, Marvel Cinematic Universe. So who knows? The latest teaser trailer for WandaVision 5 and 6, which will be coming out consecutively, I believe, is out on YouTube if you want to see it. So it's definitely finally reached the build up of like what is all of this about? Why were we in like a 60s and 70s comedy show? It kind of built up into episode 4. Like I said, and I'll allude to episode 3 in some of what I say, but basically, at the end of episode 3, Monica Rambeau's character was basically thrown out of Westville, which is this fictional town in New Jersey, um, which is similar sounding to Westfield because that is a town in New Jersey, um, along the Garden State Parkway. But she basically was thrown out because she basically pissed off Wanda because she knew things about her that I think Wanda's trying to forget. And as I alluded to before, I personally think that this is all in Wanda's mind. This is all linked to her controlling reality, creating a reality for herself, kind of in the source material that we are familiar with if you read the comic books, with the whole No More Mutants, X-Men storyline. Like, she created a reality that she wanted. And that's what I think this is exploring, that side of her. What we do delve into a bit more is the present. So, this latest episode, like I said, is the culmination of everything. Like, what the hell's going on? So, Monica Rambeau's character is thrown out of this world because she pissed off Wanda and basically wakes up surrounded by a bunch of sword people, employees that have built a base outside of Westfield because there's this force field out there preventing people from really coming in or really like understanding what the hell is going on. There are missing people. You actually find out a little bit about the time frame of this series because you get taken kind of backwards to the point where you actually see Monica Rambeau is coming back from the second snap. This is my assumption, is that when we snapped everyone back from, like, after Avengers, like the first snap that Thanos did, she came back. She's sitting in a hospital. She reappears, and it's 3 years later. And she's looking for her mother, who, as we all know, is confirmed to be, Captain Marvel's friend. And I'm drawing a blank at her name right now. But basically, that's her mother, and she's looking for her, and the doctor's like, she passed away 3 years ago. She's like, no, I fell asleep. And like, it's like, no, she passed away 3 years ago. You just snapped back into life. So this is literally after that snap. Like, the hospital she's in is in chaos because literally everyone that disappeared suddenly reappeared, and the time span of that change was 3 years apparently, but none of them felt it. So, flash forward, she's an agent of S.W.O.R.D., which is basically the S.H.I.E.L.D. counterpart that I believe Nick Fury was trying to establish in Captain Marvel when he met up with the Skrulls. And basically, they were focused on like extraterrestrial, like sort of like kind of, whereas Shield was focused on something different. That's their focus for S.W.O.R.D. I forget what the acronym stands for. I could look it up. But anyway, so flash forward, there's a team that's investigating this place, Westfield. You come to realize she's one of the team members sent in, and we get to meet Johnny Woo. Is it Johnny Woo? Um, we get to be back with our good old pal from Ant-Man, Johnny Woo,
Johnny
played
Woo.
by, played by Randall Park.
Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo. Um, and we also get to meet back up with Darcy, our favorite. Is she an astrophysicist? I can't remember. So, our favorite scientist from Thor. So, it was great because Darcy just added, that sort of comedy that she does to it all. And Randall Park, it was great to see him again. I appreciated the continuity of it all because he's in the FBI. If you didn't see Ant-Man and Wasp. So we kind of find out that all of this seems to be all driven by Wanda's mind. And after like a couple minutes of 30 plus minutes of understanding the past, we've come to the present and basically are in full realization of the fact that this is all Wanda's doing, and we need to figure something out, basically. So that's kind of where we leave it off with. You realize that the people who are watching the movie are Darcy and Jimmy, because basically there's a frequency that's being emitted. And I don't understand why Wanda would want to emit a broadcast frequency of their lives as a TV show, but that is truly what's happening here. And so it's just quite interesting in that sense that it's all come full circle. What will be more interesting is the next episode, because now that we've established what the hell is going on, and that Wanda's basically taken this town for hostage to create her own basically reality, we need to figure out what the hell's going on. But we know it's after the second snap. We know that this is all in her mind and literally driven by her powers. Some of the scenes and the promos that are out, like, have Vision actually trying to escape and open up the force field around the town, because I think he even realizes that something's wrong. So anyway, your thoughts, fans, since you finally caught up, and I know you've been waiting to see if it was going to pick up.
It was the episode that it needed. It needed to press forward into what the hell we're doing this all for. And number one, Darcy's my bae. She's just I did miss her, because Thor was not the same without Darcy. But then Thor Ragnarok, as great as it was, it didn't have the Jane Foster dynamic, which is fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna see more Jane in Phase 4. I mean, why would we not? I just it was refreshing to have Darcy. I actually didn't even know that I needed to care about this character until she came back, and I was like, wow, we need this Darcy character. Jimmy Woo, I love that. I don't know his name, the actor's name, but I loved him in fresh off the boat.
Yes,
So
Randall Park.
yes, that I will always remember him for that. And but he did a really funny Ant-Man character anyway. I I didn't know I needed more of him until I saw this. So it was nice, and I think the one thing that was kind of neat was you had those little snippets of the B-Man, the after credits where, you see the WandaVision TV show and someone's watching it all. It's all sort of wrapped up now. Like you see where who was the hand moving with the TV box in the first episode. That was Darcy. The Beehive Man was the guy who went in there and infiltrated. I think he's probably dead. What else? That was good because it was really bothering me how we all knew, like Monica Rambeau is obviously the worst kept secret about this series.
Yep.
It was nice that it was nice to see that if this is the new Captain Marvel, it's building her from a bit of a ground up per se. It's not like she woke up and she's the greatest since sliced bread.
Yeah.
That was nice. I think Marvel's play is that we need to give a reason to connect with Monica if we're going to have Monica take over.
Yeah.
Now that's the question, right? Does Monica take over? We could talk about that after my thoughts on the episode, but she's fine. I actually didn't appreciate they call it the blip, even though I think it should be called the snap. I didn't appreciate that people really were gone for 4 years or so, right? 3 or 4
Yeah.
years. And they don't know that they're missing, and the world moved on. That was the crazy part. So with Monica's mom, she passed away from cancer. And the doctor obviously, life went on for that doctor because she wasn't snapped. So there was a little glimpse where it's like, oh, yeah, that did happen, and it did take over a span of time. And actually, I don't know if I heard there was a rumor, but it'd be actually interesting to see a non superhero Marvel series about people coping with it, like regular people. I just don't know if it could get away with it under the Marvel brand, only because who would watch it if there's no superhero?
Yeah.
But that was the thing that generated to me. Wasn't much action per se. It was actually just pushing the story along,
Yeah.
and it really just confirmed my theory that Wanda just had a mental breakdown, took over a town. But then the other thing too is that Darcy mentioned that someone is censoring the broadcast.
Yep.
So it's that lady, right? That I don't want to call her a witch, but she's a witch,
Agnes.
right?
You think it's Agnes? I don't know. I wonder if it's Agnes or if it's her, Wanda. Like that's where I was trying to figure out. Like I was trying to figure out who is censoring it because someone clearly is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's Wanda, but at the same time, maybe it is. But it could be Wanda through because of Agnes. I don't know who this Agnes is, but apparently she's a character that in the source material.
Yeah, Agnes could be Agatha. Everyone thinks like there's rumors about it, but it's interesting because they were her and the other guy. I can't remember his name, Herb, but they were about to tell Vision something, right? Remember,
Mhm.
like when they were out in the yard and he was like, "Well, because we're," and I almost thought they were going to say because we're dead, but they're not. They didn't, but it almost felt like that's where they were going, or like we're trapped because even the doctor who was checking her pregnancy even made a comment like it's hard to escape from this town, and then his car broke down and he couldn't leave on his vacation that he wanted to.
Yeah, and then people. It was also weird how people forgot the town existed, even though there's literally a town that said
Oh, I
Westfield.
know, he's like Eastview and he's like standing next to it and they're like yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That was like you know what it was? It was the Marvel moment that love it or hate it, the typical Marvel moment.
Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly.
I would say that it kind of needed that Marvel moment because the lighthearted scenes in this series were a bit more of the 60s 50, 60, 70 throwback type of sitcom that we catch on because I don't know if necessarily we grew up with it, but we were exposed to it.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of the younger generations, I don't think they watch that stuff. So I think that Marvel formula of it being lighthearted was probably a bit welcome, in my opinion.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Exactly. So I thought, like I said, like to your point, this was the culmination of where it was leading up to. Now it's kind of like, all right, here are the players. What the hell is going to happen next? And what does it all mean? So
how many episodes is this? Eight or
I think
six?
it's supposed to be 8, I think.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, if they're doing 5 and 6 because the trailer went out, and I mean, I wonder if they're just trying to force this along. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I I figured they had to speed it up sooner rather than later because there were only 8 episodes. But I also feel like I don't know. I don't think it needs to be 12. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
no.
The Mandalorian was able to do it in the number of episodes it did. So I have to believe that they can wrap this up in that many episodes, if you will. So I think it's fine. I don't think we need any more because this is just a snapshot of time anyway. Um, that's the way I look at it, at least.
Yeah, and if this is a way to give Monica Rambeau a soft landing this time, as opposed to the hard landing we got with a specific character version of Captain
Who will
Marvel.
not be named?
Yeah, I mean Brie Larson's version. I think it's a good way to do it, knowing Monica Rambeau is a bit more of a obscure character. Actually, it's funny because Carol Danvers herself was an obscure character until they force fed that.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably a good approach. I just want more development. She doesn't. I don't hate her, and I don't have this feeling that she's being forced upon me. There's there's a feeling of this build up. So we're at the ground level. We're not at a pedestal. We're at the ground level. We're slowly building up. I don't know if I love this character. I don't I won't be turned off, but then who knows? The typical marketing these days is going to probably do it. But Monica doesn't have any issues. I don't have any issues with her. I just want to see how they pursue her, given that it's such an easy win for a lot of reasons to actually make Monica Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of reasons, and
Was.
it's actually for both sides of the aisle here.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? What else we've got? You were talking about the different Marvel phases, right? We were
Yeah.
offline.
Yep. So I'm looking at it right now, but basically, the way I see it is that Super Bowl's coming up. I actually just realized it the other day as I was looking at the slated schedule, and I say slated because, as we all know, things can change. And as of now, I don't know that Disney is releasing everything like in theaters plus Disney Plus for sure. I heard like rumblings that Black Widow was going to be, but I don't know for sure. Um, but the first entry back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Black Widow, slated in May, followed by Shang-Chi, then followed by, I believe, Eternals and Spider-Man from Home. Far from home. Spider-Man. I don't know if it's far from home, far away from home, whatever you want to call it. But basically that's what it is. And so I think um that's the big thing is like, are we going to see any ads in the Super Bowl? How is this all going to link to what we're seeing? I'm pretty sure we're going to see ads for Hawkeye because I've been seeing a lot of pictures about it. As well as, and I know they're shooting it because Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld have been like kind of active on social media about it. We also need to see a little bit more about Loki because that's the next entry into this phase, right? Besides Winter Soldier and Falcon. So there's more in that space. So yeah, I feel like things are picking up in the MCU. It still feels relevant. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens next. But like I said, it feels like things are picking up at least on this front. So yeah, just wanted to talk through that.
It's kind of scary how Disney's really the only thing that can save cinema,
Yeah, it
but
is.
it also has its own methods to kill it.
Yes. Meaning Disney Plus.
Yeah, and or Hulu if they decide to actually leverage their Hulu platform. Um,
Yeah, if they do.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see, and we talked about it last week. I'm curious to see what the Godzilla versus King Kong movie is going to do because that's one of the big releases actually in theaters at the same time as HBO Max.
And No Time to Die got delayed too, right?
Yeah, so that was going, but seriously, that's going to be the bellwether for me because that should be seen in IMAX, in my opinion.
What
But I don't
No Time
know.
to Die?
No, the King Kong Godzilla movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really think that's the one, if anything, that needs to be seen um, to that extent. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, at least in the U.S., I don't see anything. I think we're still in that dark winter, and
yeah,
I I hope we can get out of it soon. But I don't think, not just from a closure standpoint, but in terms of there's a lot of folks out there that have to reprioritize entertainment, fun, shopping, and I mean it's unfortunate, but uh, hopefully we can kickstart things. Not to in terms of getting people back to where they were, getting back to the self sustainability that everyone is.
yep.
But till then, we just gotta do our best and manage through it. So leave it at that. On the
Exactly.
other side of the entertainment front, it's funny because every time we talk about gaming, it ends up mostly being Xbox related.
Oh my
But
god.
probably play with Sony. I'll have to look and see what if Sony put out their earnings report. But the big gaming thing that caught my attention, that was worthy of it, was the Microsoft earnings call, which then got pivoted from a gaming perspective to the Xbox division. And so, from a Microsoft overall, man, does anyone want to not work for this company? 43.1 billion
I know. I
revenue.
know.
Up
That's after. Just say that. That begins with a B, right? B is in boy.
revenue and 51% revenue up 51%.
And I
They
believe they made it all on their team's cloud based platform. Their team service, like right? Am I
Oh
right?
yeah, I mean it's why I mean this is you've got that, you've got the cloud integration for collaboration in terms of like team sites,
Yep.
Microsoft Excel, all that other fun stuff that a lot of people hate to have to use, but they're probably the only game in town. But yeah, and they had 15 billion in profit, and I know a lot of people in the gaming sphere look at that, but that's overall Microsoft, right? The
Yeah.
cloud drove that, but then the good news is that hardware wise, the Series X and Series S, despite the production issues and the shortages that always tempt me to actually do it, but I'm holding strong here. 86% increase in their gaming hardware segment. And I think they said that they had a record launch. It feels like every generation's a record launch, by the way. So I take that with a grain of salt. But then to say 86% is pretty huge. Though I will say they were going down because everyone was not buying Xbox Ones because they were waiting for this.
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt. But to their credit, that's 86%. And now I think the bigger thing was the revenue overall, 51% in games, numbers, right? So Xbox content and services, which is essentially all sales on their Xbox store and the Game Pass subscriptions, which is now at 18 million paid subscribers.
Love it.
Love it. And they have not included ZeniMax, which is Bethesda, and there was I can't find the exact quote, but supposedly there's a rumor that they have enough cash to buy two Bethesdas.
Oh my god, are you freaking kidding me?
I have to look for it, but I saw a couple of like the podcasts I follow. They're like two Bethesdas. I'm like,
Well, if you
dude,
think about it, you said 43 billion, that's revenue. That,
43 billion. That's all of them. So if Microsoft were to ever decide to just put everything into gaming, which they won't, because they've got some projects like putting servers underwater. That's their R&D project I'm looking at right here. And yeah, I mean they're not going to plow all of it into gaming, but if you've got what 15 billion in profit, and let's say you got 7 billion of it in cash, up like cash right now, you probably could make two Bethesdas if you could get EA if you wanted to.
I know, right? Like, I'm just like, this is insane. Like, and I believe it. Like, there were rumors swirling that they were going to buy Sega. And I mean, that would be awesome.
I think they got purchased by somebody else in Japan.
Yeah, but like
Not
I
gonna happen.
said, I think that would be just awesome if it was true. But I do think, like, I mean, man, with that much cash, no wonder why they bought it.
Yeah, and rumor is that they're still in buy territory, which is let's acquire more stuff. And with enough money, a lot of people are going wild with Ubisoft, EA. I mean, my take is they haven't even integrated Bethesda. You can't. I mean, there's a couple of things in my opinion. One, you're now in antitrust monopoly territory. If you start buying
Yeah,
the EA level, my sense is that they're probably going to put money into either building from the ground up or buying something smaller, nothing as
yeah.
sexy. They're going to do a lot of work. It's the quote on IGN is that they're still expected to close the ZeniMax acquisition later this year. That doesn't mean that's not Q1. That could very well be Q2, Q3, Q4, and that's closing. I don't know if that also means integration and all that stuff. That's a lot of work, and to just say you could buy another EA, I think a lot of people need to hold your horses on that. Realistically, there's not enough resources and effort and manpower to actually just do all that. So
Wow.
pause, say, well, what do you think about this rumor that they're going to go big?
Um, I think it's quite possible, but I think it all depends on like how this, like you said, one at a time. They have to integrate a couple things, and they have to finish like, and there's like some antitrust laws, like you said. Um, this year may not be the year for another big purchase, but it could be if they really need it to push forward the agenda, which, as we all know, the agenda has always been Game Pass. That whole, we talked about the whole announcement snafu that, oh, we're increasing it, but the free games won't be free anymore, kind of shit. And then the free games are free. Um, yeah, I feel like the prize is the end goal, the end game has always been Game Pass. How do we make it stronger? How do we make it worth the money, and how do we basically value it such that people feel like what they're paying for, it makes sense. I think that the purchase of another company to strengthen the platform's like game offerings would make it worthwhile such that people would pay double and not cry about it. Um, but I think they need to figure that out first. The whole integration between Game Pass, and Gold, and then figure out like if they need more games to strengthen the portfolio or licenses or whatever. Um, that's my 2 cents, but it's not beyond them to buy. I mean, they could just pocket the cash and walk away, but it's kind of like one of those weird markets of like, I'm honestly surprised Microsoft didn't buy GameStop.
They did invest. I don't know if they invested per se, but they did a partnership where tablets. They provide tablets, and they're going to give servers
Yeah,
to help them
yeah,
out. God, GameStop. It's so funny how a dying company that was like $2 a share. Ah, I mean, I know this thing's been beat to death. You could go to many different YouTubers and podcasters about this, but it's amazing how this company has just been back in the market. It's funny because like we've grown up going there. That's where we had to buy our games, or best, it's either that or Best Buy.
yep.
And if you asked me to buy it at $2 a share, I'd tell you that thing is probably worth $1, which is I guess what the hedge funds thought too.
Yep.
Man, I give it to the people. They said "F you" to the hedge funds, and they are holding the line. I mean, people even bought it at 300. Just it's not about the profit. It's about the message, like the Joker. Remember in Joker where he burns the money?
Oh my god.
Not
Yeah.
about the money. It's about the message.
Yep. Yep.
Kudos to them because if they are putting their money where their mouth is, kudos to them. I give them props, and it's funny how things in terms of regulatory and government is reacting in the wake of all of this. But that's for a podcast not of ours right now.
Exactly. But like I said, my somewhat facetious comment was that Microsoft could have bought GameStop at that point. Like,
Well, let me counter that though. Why? I mean, you have a brick and mortar store. If you look at GameStop, yeah, there's the walls of games, but everyone mostly buys them on
digital.
digital, which because they're so convenient. It's
Yeah.
funny because we had this conversation earlier about actually physical is not necessarily a worse thing just because they could just take it away.
Yeah.
My God, so with anime, we were talking about that, and I mean, the other half is like pop dolls and comic book stuff and Marvel DC, and it's not the GameStop I remember where it was just all games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like comic book stores, it's not all comic books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With that
Exactly.
said, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it. It's just more or less we'll keep an eye on it and see what's I guess the market allows to happen with the situations going on. But I'm curious to just keep an eye on what's going on and wait and see. But
Yep, and we do not give any stock advice, no financial advice. If you are doing that, I have to do this disclaimer since we talked about this. We highly suggest that you do your due diligence because we are not financial advisors.
exactly. It's just more or less our own opinions. So please don't act on them. However, I will say, like I said, it's something to watch, if anything, um,
Right.
just
So
in
with
general.
Yep. So with that said, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications as to get notified as we drop content. Also, we are on Twitter at Justice Sith, and we hope to hear from you again. So see you all on the Sith side.